Hey everybody, it's Ken Compton, and today I've got Coach William Troutman, my good buddy, with me. He's hanging out with me on all these workshop videos, and we're going to be talking about another strategy that we're going to be teaching at the workshop, and that's events and presentations. And William, I know you guys have been hugely effective with presentations, so let's talk about what type of presentations you're doing, and are you doing them, or are your inspectors involved in them, that kind of thing.
Sure. I guess we should try to separate events maybe from presentations. So presentation-wise, when you say that, I'm thinking you're talking more along the line of our office presentations that we would do. CE might even be included in that. But we do a ton of those. And just getting that exposure in front of each one of those real estate offices has just worked out really, really well for us. You know, you're perceived as the expert, and you're able to take questions and just build rapport. So it's a really, really good thing. It's helped us break into offices where we were brand new. By using that strategy alone, I would say what I mean by that is some of the other approaches that we took, candy houses or whatever we may be doing, these presentations, you could get in without having to do those other things, has been our experience as we move forward here with it. But yeah, we really enjoy doing those. Do I get others involved? Yes. My lead inspector, and now, again, especially in the Louisville market, because I personally am not licensed over there and I don't inspect, and so I want to keep my face out of it as much as possible, if you will. So I'm trying to get him that exposure, or my company that exposure, without my face being tied to it. So I'm not tied to it, you know, all the time. So yeah, I do. Matt will come in. He does really well with the presentation. He's a really comfortable speaker. He's got a little background in that as well, so I do let him get involved with those, and more as we move forward. Now, he's not licensed for CE, and I am, so I do have him attending and helping me present for the CE classes, and he's in the process of getting his approval for that. But at this point, I have to be involved with those. So hopefully that answers your question. But yeah, just it's my second favorite strategy.
Right. And I'll tell you get a lot of new business from it, new agents, and you reinforce relationships with agents that you already have.
Right. Well, you know, through the Savvy Inspector, you've taught us some really, really good strategies to implement during those presentations. I'll say before, during, and after. So it's not just that you're there and in front of them, but there are things that you can do before, especially during and after those presentations and events as well, to make sure that you, what we call seed the meeting even. You can really get a better response than just you involved if you can involve other participants from that office in your presentations.
That's right. And, you know, this year we're teaching systems and technology to make your life better, make more money, and get your firm worth more. So that's what we're teaching at the workshop. And we're going to teach you the before, the during, and the after, all of those strategies at the workshop so that you can take those home and implement them immediately. Now, William, let me ask you this, because a lot of multi-inspector firms don't get their inspectors involved in the marketing. What's your feeling on that, and letting Matt and others do presentations?
Yeah, I think it's a really cautious area. You do have to know that you're not setting a competitor up. If you got, you know, your lead inspector and or whoever it may be that you have out there representing your company, you want to make sure that it's your company that's getting the face or the recognition, and not that inspector, because the last thing you want to do is set them up, you know, to become a competitor. So you have to have the right personality. This happens to be my son-in-law, so I have a little advantage there with that. Not that it couldn't still happen, but less likely to. So I'm a little more comfortable with it. Now, I did, prior to him, an inspector who was no longer with me, Corey Kern was his name, who also did really well at that, and had no aspirations whatsoever to, you know, start his own firm or anything like that. So I think that's something you need to know. Maybe some of our personality, the right path and what have you that we've talked about before, I think would help maybe determine that, if they have the characteristics to become that kind of person. So yeah, I think that's a great point to put out there, that you wouldn't want to just have any inspector out there doing it. You need to know it's the right person.
Right. And let's just touch on a minute, because when we're going to also talk about automating the recruiting process at the workshop, and we'll touch on it in a separate video as we move along closer to the workshop. But one of the things that we do in the recruiting process is we teach all of our coaching clients how to use a personality profile. And before we would ever let an inspector get out there and do presentations on behalf of the firm, we would understand their personality in total based on that test. So you could feel more comfortable in many ways by saying, yes, this person will make great presentations, but doesn't really have ambitions to go out on their own.
Yeah, I agree. That's a great tool to use for more reasons than one.
Sure, absolutely, absolutely. Now, William, talk to me about when you do presentations, what kind let's just say lunch and learns, because that's always really fun. Now, in the beginning, you had to beg to get out there and do lunch and learns. Now people are begging you to come out there and do them. Let's talk about that and what made the change.
Yeah, we've really turned that around. And when I say lunch and learns, one thing that I found through helping you coach here is that it seems that the norm would be that the lunch and learn would be a 20-minute, 30-minute ordeal. And that's great if you can make that happen. But just know that most of ours are usually about a 45-minute or an hour presentation, which includes lunch, of course. So, or a breakfast. And evening dinner, we do this as well, which is my favorite. But typically lunch and learn. And so, yeah, to first get it going, there's some things that we'll show you, some things that worked really, really well for me to help open that door. And I think now getting them to call us, which is what's happening, we're at the point now where we're saying we're picking and choosing, basically, because of the time that we have allotted and where our priorities are, where before I was just whatever office I could get in to get it going. But because we've done it so much and the word spreads, you kind of get my ripple effect is what I talked about at the last workshop, seeing to it that happens so that you do that presentation, the whole world knows about it and what you're doing and what the advantages were for you to be there for that office. So now we are at the point where most of them call us. Now, not that I don't have Kayla, my marketing rep, out there knocking on new doors, but we're saying no a lot now when before I was saying please.
Yeah. I know one of the other things I think that you did that was very, very helpful, and that is you developed a menu of lunch and learns so that the agents and the broker can select topics which resonate with them.
Right, and even during the presentations, or lunch and learns, a lot of times we will pass that out and ask, just have them check the box and get that feedback. Then we can bring that to the broker or whoever, marketing rep, whoever's putting that on, to say, this seems to be the top topic that they'd like to have. We have about 20 of them, maybe a little more, and they range in length and, of course, material. So we just have a little checklist there, and they can check off which ones that they would like for us to present. And I'll even put like a short description out to the side of them so they know it's going to take X amount of time, and this is kind of what the topic entails.
Mm-hmm. Now, Kayla, your marketing rep, has been out knocking on the doors, and she's got so many of these things set up, you're overwhelmed.
Yeah, I had to pull her back in. I'll share that with you. She just does a really, really good job. And she's one of these people that can, meet you once and remember your name. And I'm really, really bad about that. So she does have that ability to build relationships. But yeah, she has done so well with that. My main goal for these is about the time the kids start back to school, or shortly there before, and try to really get this pumped up to happen through the winter time. My main reason for that is agents are more likely to be able to come to the office because they're not just so overwhelmed as they are right now in the busy season. So what's happening with her, I told her what I wanted to do, what I wanted her to do, and she followed my directions to the T and just got a swamp. So almost on a weekly basis, I'm doing one, if not two of these, which is great, but it's too overwhelming for me. I got too many other things on my plate as well. So yeah, I've had to kind of reel her back in. I just got through having the discussion with her over the next into the winter, actually, how many of these and where we want to try to get them done.
Now, William, this isn't just a strategy for multi-inspector firms like yourself and like Southern Home was that I owned. It's also a great strategy for one-man shops. You were a one-man shop, and you did these in the beginning.
You bet. I'd say if you're a one-man shop and you want to increase your revenue as far as inspection pricing, you want to get top dollar for being that inspector of choice, this is the way to do it, because you will be perceived as that expert. I mean, it's the point now where, and this may happen to other folks as well, but it's not uncommon for us to get a call from the real estate agent. She's out showing a house to somebody and she runs into something, and what the heck is that? Or, how's that going to appear on a report? We'll get a call right there, or I will, and say, and they'll just ask me because they attended some lunch and learn where I spoke about something like that. So you're right at the tip of their tongue and on their mind. So, and it allows you as a single man to get top dollar. I've got a fellow here, a little closer to the Indianapolis area, but his average inspection fee starts at about $600. He's a one-man shop, and he teaches CE, he does all these things, so he has the perception of being that expert in his area. So price is less of a concern. They know they're getting that high quality.
Making yourself the obvious expert to the agents. When we finished a presentation, we would say, hey, guess what? If you have questions about inspection reports, even if we didn't do it, here's our phone number, call us up. One of our team members will get back with you with an answer very quickly. And that was hugely effective for us.
Yeah. I think anything that you can do like that where you're going to be able to help the agents, you just tipped me off on something else. We created an email, which I've kind of shared with you, or a letter even, that goes out to the seller of a home to help prepare that home for the inspection. And that's kind of the way we're introducing that, is we're sending that out to all the agents and saying, hey, whether you use us or not, whether your client chooses us or not, this is still great information for you to send to that person for whatever inspector is coming in to make this a smoother process. So then we're perceived, again, as there's one notch above what everybody else is doing. Even if you don't use us, we're still helping you. So I think anything you can do that, and presentations are a great way, lunch and learns are a great way for you to open the door to any subject that you might. Another great one, if everybody's familiar with CSST piping, in our area when that first came out that we had to call it out for grounding was a huge hassle for us. Tons and tons of callbacks. But through the lunch and learn process, getting in these offices and educating these real estate agents, radon's another one. We have really turned that around where they understand now that yes, radon is an issue, even on a walkout basement, and yes, anybody can have it. And the same way with the gas piping. So when something new comes into the market and you're the bad guy because you're calling it out, lunch and learns, educate everybody.
You're right. And I know that our team is working to have lunch and learns in the web store for both the Savvy Inspector members and non-members as well. So please know that you don't have to be a member of the Savvy Inspector, our coaching group, to come to the workshop in November 19th through the 21st, 2015. So you don't have to be a member. Now, William, I'll tell you, let's talk just a minute about, before you go to events, let's talk about continuing education, teaching that, and what's that done for your firm? What's been the outcome of that?
Again, obvious expert, and now you're associated on a different level, I think, with those real estate agents. Again, opportunity to build those relationships. The nice thing about CE is maybe your topic is mold, I don't know, whatever it may be, but inevitably every time it's the sidebar conversations that you get involved in during those that really set that relationship up. A lot of times we don't get through the whole presentation because we have so many sidebars and conversations going on, which is always good. So that's been a tremendous help for us. On the CE, I would say that you need to know what your state requires for you to teach CE. A lot of times, you can't teach CE because you're not licensed, but you could go under a local affiliation, like your local Southern Indiana Realtor Association is here. And I taught CE for a long time with no certification or licensing for it under their wing. Still got the same bang for my buck. But if you are licensed, I know we have some other Savvy members that kind of have separated themselves away from the affiliation, so now they're able to set up their own venue, if you will, and do these presentations. And I know that's working really well for some of them.
That's what we did at Southern Home. I got certified as a CE instructor. We had to open up a real estate school here in Georgia. It was a big hassle. If I could have taught under somebody else's affiliation, I would have done it, but that wasn't possible. But I'm telling you, I could spend 3.5 hours with you, or 3 hours. When I'm finished, you're our customer. You're our referral source from there. I can't say enough about CE classes. If you're not doing it, you should really seriously consider what it is. And at the workshop, again, we're going to teach you what to do before a CE or a class or presentation, what to do during, what to do after. We're going to give you all of our step-by-step strategies. We're also going to have a checklist so that what happens is that before you execute the strategy, you can check the checklist and make sure you've got all of the pieces in place to make sure you have the best event and make the most of it. And we'll have that information on the website so that you can download it after the workshop, so you won't have to worry about filling a bunch of papers and that kind of thing. Stay focused on the speakers. We'll let you download the material after the event.
You just touched on another thing real quick, that you do these CE classes, presentations, lunch and learns, whatever, anytime you can get out there in front of course, even events. And part of this strategy that we're talking about is the ability to look back and say, here's what I got out of that. So you're not just going out there blind, doing it, hoping that the phone rings. You can actually implement some things that you can track that, and we do that on a regular basis. So I can tell you that when I did this CE class and spent 2.5 hours over there, and I had 35 people in there, how many of those people, which one of those people called on our business?
That's right. That is exactly right. And in tracking everything you do in marketing, you need a positive return, and tracking is the way to get it. And as part of the systems, we're going to teach you how to track as well. at the workshop. Now, William, let's talk a minute about events. Not only about some cool events we're going to talk about at the workshop, we're going to talk about how to make your event hugely successful, how to get people to invite you back. What's the system that we use? That's what we're going to be teaching at the workshop. But let's talk about a couple of cool events that you've done recently, maybe the pirate event.
Okay. It's our favorite thing when it comes to physically marketing things. We love to put on an event. It's like we teach at the workshop. It's so important to become part of that event, not just attend it. And that's where you get the ripple effect and doing these things before, during, and after to make sure you get your biggest bang for the buck out of that. So the pirate that you're alluding to, there are a ton of these, but that's one of Ken's favorites. We actually had done one for the Southern Indiana Realtors Association, and their theme was I don't know, something about buried treasure type deal. So it played right off of a pirate theme. So we all dressed in all the pirate garb, if you will, had an awesome table with a lot of events at the table itself and prizes, and just really separated ourselves from the others in the crowd. And the biggest part of that is, if you do something like this, because a lot of people giggle, I could never do that. Well, I'm telling you, I can show you even on film where we videoed these events where all of the other vendors, the other home inspectors are there, are dressed in their home inspection attire. They're standing there trying to hand out business cards and brochures. And of course, people come by, grab their trinkets, and move right on. But our table, there's a crowd, and there's laughter, and it's a good time. We're there to be, again, part of that event, not just attending it. And
one of the things you did, William, I thought that was so clever was you had a game that everybody was interacting. When I saw the videos, I saw there was a big line at your booth, everybody waiting to play your game.
Yeah, no game, no gain.
Yeah, oh, that's good. That's very good.
Yeah, we always have some kind of a fun event. That particular one was kind of weird. We had a little catapult that you'd shoot marshmallows through a hole in a sail on the boat. So stop shooting holes in my sails was the whole thing. But we've always got something like that, be it that or an operation game or whatever. There's always something to. Even if it's just a beanbag toss, just something to get them interactive so you can chuckle and have a good time. There's a lot to be said about humor when you're trying to build a relationship with somebody.
Absolutely. Who wants to deal with the old serious home inspector? Let's have a little fun.
Exactly.
Now, we're going to teach also at the workshop how to plan these promotions, how to get invited to these promotions, the systems that you're going to use to set them up and deal with them before, during, and after that'll make you a huge success. Let's talk about events for a minute from the employee standpoint. Who comes? I know Sherry, Coach Sherry, your wife comes. Kayla, the marketing rep, comes. How about your inspectors?
I think when it comes to these events, the more folks that you can have there to be part of the party and get exposure to, especially new agents, I'm all for that. Because this isn't a, giving away your marketing secrets kind of thing to your employees. You're just out there having a good time and being a part of that event. And usually the employees really look forward to that. You're sharing that with them as well because, really they weren't invited. So yeah, it just makes them feel like they're a part of the team, and it's a good time. It's a good time for everybody if you do it right.
Exactly. Now, I know that you started off with this was one of your favorite strategies, and I know that you get new referral sources from it all the time, and you've maximized the way you've done it by using the system we're going to teach at the workshop. So what more can you say about it?
Yeah, other than, you just need to be doing it. Some people say it's just not for me. Okay, but you're missing out on a great strategy.
And you know what happens is, William, and we talk about all the time, as a marketer, one of our goals is to turn our real estate agent acquaintances into friends, because your friends will refer you. A referral is, there's 3 people on the list, and the fact of the matter is that I've used Certainty Home Inspections for the last 6 or 7 years. They're excellent. They did an inspection for my mother and my sister. If I was going to choose somebody off of that list, I would choose them. However, you're free to choose anybody else. If it was me, I would choose Certainty Home Inspections. That's a referral.
Yes, and so that happens a lot. I would say, and what I get a lot of time is, I have to refer 3 people. But I'll put the names in order on a list, and when I hand the list to the client, I say, here are my referrals. They're in this order for a reason. So our name's at the top of the list. So, yes, agents are supposed to refer more than one, but if they're your friend, they're going to see to it that your name gets lifted off of that list in some way.
That's right. And but here's the important thing about it is when you're at events and presentations and you're building a relationship with these agents, you can have this conversation with them. But if you don't have a relationship with that agent, having this conversation about a referral is somewhat awkward.
It is. And again, having those events, because you're not there discussing an inspection with the agent, which is our typical interaction with them. So now you're completely off subject. Having a good time, whatever. So it's much easier to break into those kind of friendly conversations without, nudging somebody when you're trying to go through the aspects of a home inspection.
All right, Mr. William. Well, I'll tell you, this is always an exciting topic for you and I. We've taught this in Jasper. People that we consider serious home inspectors are now doing great events, looking silly, having a big time with the agents, and their success has been the same as ours. It's fantastic. New referral sources, new sales, better relationships with their referral sources.
Yeah, that's why I really love the coaching aspect of this, because there's no bigger thrill than, we just did the workshop on this, the last event. In presentations workshop, and so these guys are sending me emails telling me, I did this, and showing us pictures of the great time that they're having, setting their booths up correctly, doing all of the strategies that we're talking about doing. Just watching them be able to go from not doing that to having a huge success from it is a real compliment to me and you, of course. So that's what I enjoy about doing it.
It is fun. Let me say one other thing, William. We've got an early bird special. When people come and we get referred by your real estate agents and they come to learn about you, they go online and they see what others are saying about you. And so we've got a reputation video worth $297 for each ticket you purchase. You get one for free. Check down on the link below this video to learn all about the early bird special. Take advantage of that. William has probably got 12 or 15 of these reputation videos we produce for his company, and they're kicking butt and doing a good job for him. Right, William?
Highly effective. You bet. You bet.
They're professionally done. They're not done by Ken. Trust me, you wouldn't want it done by me. We have professional people who are doing them. But it's really a very, very valuable tool. And we're going to give you one of those away free for each ticket you purchase. So just click on the video below, on the link below this video, and learn all the details.